Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Now we turn our attention. Remember that matter about FG paying some over what, $9 billion, is it $9 million to DCI Group for lobbying? Well, Frank Otor joins us now. He's a lawyer. He's also a native of Yelwata in Benue State. He joins us virtually, and it's about 2:45 a.m. where he is. Good morning, and thank you for your time. This morning and morning there as well, but we appreciate you joining us today. Well, I know you must have also heard that piece, that news item when it made the rounds and still is. So, and then the narratives about it in terms of why the federal government is embarking on that initiative. So, what are your thoughts about that? Let's start with that.
All right. Thank you very much, Chamberlain. And my sister Margaret, thank you. Long time. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
All right. I think there's no need for the federal government to confront the DCI group, to confront this Republican strategist, Peterson and McCabe. These are famous political strategists in the UK, in the US. And for so long a time, they've been contracting for basically corporations. You know, they contracted before now for just 2 countries. Look, what is happening in Nigeria demands action. As they say in common parlance, action speaks louder than words. So what we are calling the Nigerian government to do is to just take an action on what is happening in Nigeria. You are spending $9 million to consult a firm in America, in Washington, D.C., to launder your image. There's no need for this. Because some of us who have called for this CPC designation are still in the U.S. We're still talking to the same persons these guys are talking to. So at the end of the day, this $9 million is just going to go down the drain because it's not going to achieve any purpose.
Well, I do not know how you come to that conclusion. I mean, I want to imagine that part of the advice that before a government takes an action, they would have, thought about what the loopholes were for us to have gotten where we got to. Because a lot of people were very worried by the intervention of the United States. Now, they didn't, there were, will I say, mixed reactions to that intervention, especially the tweet, or will I say, the message on Truth Social released by President Donald Trump in terms of how they intend to come into Nigerians, guns a-blazing, to save Christians. Now, a number of people figured that if it was just about insecurity and to come against terrorists and to fight general insecurity because it also had a way of affecting U.S. interests, perhaps in Nigeria or around Nigeria, as the case might be, a number of people might have said, well, the United States is welcome. But what they were afraid of is the manner in which this happened, the fact that the U.S. said they were standing up for Christians in Nigeria. And you saw, I do not know how well you followed the dispute that followed afterwards. But, Nigerians basically were walking on eggshells after that particular declaration, given just how sensitive religion is as an issue in Nigeria. And the fact that both sides, Christians and Muslims, had suffered casualties as a result of the work of terrorists in our country. So, for you, when you look at that narrative and how it had the potential to affect us internally, I mean, even, conflagrate what was potentially a combustible issue, do you think that we should just sit down, or do you think a government should fold its hands and not try and get its own side of the story heard as well?
Okay, thank you very much. Mark, the side of the story in this context is just the truth. We are Nigerians. Section 14, sub A, paragraph 2, sub 2, paragraph A of the Nigerian Constitution, 1999 says, sovereignty belongs to the people. We are the sovereign, not the government. We are the sovereign. And it is we the people. I want to correct that narrative. It is we the people, the victims, who have called on the United States to act, because the United States has the responsibility to protect, responsibility to protect as a cardinal principle, when it comes to situations like this. Now, let me take you on a timeline of these activities. Before now, we the people, we have called this genocide several times. Genocide has been happening against us, against Christians, by groups that are not related to us, coming to Christian communities, trying to obliterate Christian communities, displacing our people into the IDP camps, and taking over their land. Except anybody wants to, deny this obvious fact, that genocide has been happening not just now, for so long a time. In Nigeria, when in 2001 or so, Nigeria was to host Miss World, these guys went on rampage in Kaduna, burnt churches, that is genocide. You are killing these guys because they are Christians. You are burning churches because it is a Christian place of worship. Just because of Miss World. Nobody says anything about it because it is we Nigerians that were complaining. There was a time that there was this Danish cartoon, a so-called Danish cartoon about Prophet Muhammad in Denmark. Nigerians paid the price. For what? Because they are Christians. That is genocide. It fits the intent and purposes of what genocide is all about. The spirit and letters of Article 2 of the Genocide Convention of 1946. It fits into it completely, but we're denying this obvious fact.
Mr. Oto, I do not wish to minimize. I do not wish to minimize, the sufferings of communities across, the place where you come from. I know that we spoke with you shortly after the massacre in Yelwata, where you hail from. But you also, as some people will say, that you also cannot minimize the sufferings of other communities, other groups. For instance, what happened in Borno State, which is still reeling from the massacres that have happened as a result of Boko Haram insurgency. How do we describe that? We know that these issues are a little more complicated than a dry-cut description that were given to them. And that, our country is such that, as you rightly said, something that happens in another place can have an effect. So when a president says, I'm intervening on behalf of one group of people to the detriment of another, or seemingly to the detriment of another group of people, shouldn't there be concerns, especially by those who are supposed to be leading all of this group of people?
Okay, let's break down this for easy understanding. Now, we admit the fact that there are Boko Haram in our country. It's so unfortunate that our country is the number 5th country in the whole world, placed on number 5 as a country that has hosted the highest number of Islamist terrorist organizations. So unfortunately, we are only we're number 5. We've only been surpassed by Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq, and Somalia. So we are number 5. We have ISWAP, we have Boko Haram, we have Lakurawa, we have Ansaru, and we have the most vicious terrorist organization in Nigeria that is in the Middle Belt, the Fulani ethnic militia. Now, if these Islamists kill fellow Muslims, that's terrorism. But if they kill Christians, they are killing Christians because of their faith. That is genocide. So let's break it. It's so unfortunate that they are killing everybody. So wherever genocide takes place, the people of that faith or that tribe were also affected. Like in Rwanda, when the Hutus were killing Tutsis, they were also killing moderate Hutus. So there's no difference. In Bosnia, when the Serbs were killing Bosnia under Milosevic, Slobodan Milosevic, this guy that was jailed for life by the International Criminal Court, they were also killing some Serbians. So there's no difference about this. So when it's unfortunate that they kill Muslims, and when they do, that is terrorism. But when they kill Christians, they kill them because of their faith. And that is genocide. So let's not take away this fact. We've been seeing how they've been trying to spin the narrative to say, oh, everybody's been involved. We are not responsible for the creed these guys were given, the beliefs they were inculcated with. We're not responsible for that. These guys, they were growing up in the street. They were given a creed that is based on hatred, on violence, and asked that they should go after their enemies. And today, these guys have grown into monsters. They are coming into communities. When they came into my community, they've been killing us in my community almost every month. But June 13th and 14th last year, was on a large scale, on a different scale. And that is why many of us are standing up and not relenting. Because it's too much. I've lost more than 70% of the people I knew while growing up. Just because of these guys. We didn't do anything. We are in our land. These guys will come in the depth of the night and kill a 1-day-old baby, a 90-year-old father. For what? That is what we're saying. And the Nigerian government will be calling on them several times to act. Look, Maupe, we've been using the word genocide for so long, but the Nigerian government has not been acting. Even in January of 2018, if you remember the mass murder that happened in Guma local government under when Otom was governor, there was a mass burial of about 78 people that were killed in my local government of Guma. We called it genocide at that time. On the official program, it was written genocide. If you go to where they were buried today on in Makurdi, Welfare Quarters Road, Welfare Quarters Mobile Police Road, the signboard is there. Burial of the victim of Fulani genocide. So Nigerian government has not been acting. We're calling it exactly what it is. So since they've not acted, we called on a senior brother. Look, we've not been protected by these people, by our own government. And let me finally, before I conclude this this chapter, let me tell you, unfortunately, the people killed in Yelwata, 90% of them voted for APC. They voted for the government to defend them on their own part. They fulfilled their social contract responsibility by coming to exhibit their civil duty and voted for this particular government. My cousin,
all right, Frank
Nsuteze, was the agent of APC in the last election.
All right, we need to wind down. So could you tell us, you've also that narrative that it's there, which was a true destiny to Biafra separatists who are quote unquote the ones championing this cause, and so government needed to also get the right narratives out there so people don't get the wrong impression about what's going on.
Chabole, you see, that is the power of propaganda. You're in the media, so you know what propaganda is. That is the power of propaganda. The designation of Nigeria as a CPC had nothing, absolutely nothing to do with Biafra. Absolutely nothing. We, the victims, we're the ones in the forefront, the main victims of the genocide in Nigeria. Before now, you knew when my Lord Bishop Anagbi of the Catholic Diocese of Makurdi came to the U.S., addressed the U.S. Congress in March of last year. That was even long before Yelwata happened. In March last year, and asked for the designation of Nigeria as a CPC. When Yelwata happened, I was invited to Washington, D.C. I spoke at the iconic National Press Club, located just 2 blocks away from the White House. I addressed American Congress and American press, and I called for the designation of Nigeria as a CPC because I'm a victim. My community is placed on the edge of a precipice, is at the point of being obliterated completely. So we called for this protection. After July, I've addressed the American Congress twice again in December last year and in January this year. Last week, I was in Washington. Last week, Wednesday, I addressed the American Congress. After that, I met people, congressmen who were invited to Nigeria recently, like Congressman Bill Heisinger from Michigan. He was invited to Nigeria. I think he was hosted by Tony Elumelu in December and was hosted by the government. We tried to disabuse his mind. Look, these guys are just trying to hide the narrative.
All right, Frank.
The truth of what is happening. So it is we, the victims, and not Biafra. So anytime they call Biafra, and let me tell you something. Sorry, just a moment.
Unfortunately, we're completely out of time, but it's something that, of course, you know, it doesn't just end here. It's an ongoing concern, and we'll also find time to revisit the matter, as it were. So we do thank you for talking to us this morning, Frank Oto, a lawyer and a native of Yelwata. Thank you for your time. And is it good night or good morning now because you need to get back to sleep?
Good morning. I'm going back to sleep.
All right. Thank you, and all the best to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah,
all right, so there you go. That wraps it up this Monday morning, and it should make it a very lovely week, I tell you. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm Chamberlain Osol. Goodbye.
Well, Chamberlain said it was all about the Naira. We hope you make some this week. Thank you for watching. I'm Maupe Ogun Yusuf.